There's something quite nice about having, games on a shelf right here, where I could just pick up something, play it. So even though some of these I may never get a chance to finish, some of these I may never get a chance to replay again, it's just nice to look at that they're there anytime I need them, and there's so many memories and experiences I've had with many of these games. It's just like a nice thing to look at every day.
Our vision with Stadia is that the processing resources available will scale up to match your imagination. In this new generation, the data center is your platform.
Oh, well, never mind then.
One of the most talked about topics this year in gaming has been the idea of streaming and playing your games anywhere and everywhere. This really came into light with the presentation of Google Stadia, which will be Google's attempt of doing a cloud gaming service, in which players could experience resolutions of up to 4K and 60 frames a second without the need of any console or gaming PC.
So playing our games anywhere and everywhere without the need of a PC or a console with us at all times is a good thing, right? Well, just like most of these videos on different levels, there's a yes and a no answer to that question. So continuing on with the future of video game series, we at Different Level want to take a dive into the possibility of playing our video games this way. And what does this mean for the way we play our video games, and what does this mean for the way we purchase them as well? First off, what the hell is cloud gaming?
Cloud gaming, in short, is allowing you, the player, to play games over an internet connection without the use of powerful hardware. This idea was first introduced to the public when the cloud gaming service OnLive was launched in March of 2010. It was a service that was originally intended to be used for PC only, which would help PC players play high-spec games without having to fork out the money for a new gaming rig. The service was favoured when it initially launched from a beta, with many critics seeing this as the start of the next big thing for games and cloud gaming as a whole. However, it struggled with one of the most obvious potential errors: lag and latency. Eventually, it moved to smartphones, tablets, Macs, and they even had a demo of it running on a web browser, but that potential never came to be.
Because in 2012, just 2 years after OnLive officially launched, it went bust.
First laying off all their employees, then selling off assets and stakes in the company. OnLive had plenty of investors underneath it too, including Warner Brothers and even AT&T. After a failed rebrand and more layoffs, the company was completely shut down in 2015, with the assets being sold to Sony, who you may remember went on to create PlayStation Now from said assets.
So if we jump back into now with the recent announcement of the Google Stadia, question on everyone's minds is this: is it going to work this time around, and what's really changed since the OnLive days?
Well, for starters, one of the biggest companies in the world is backing this service. Google Stadia plans to revolutionize the way and where we play our games, claiming it to be able to stream AAA games on any smartphone, smart TV, tablet, Chromecast, or even a Chrome web browser at up to 4K resolution and at 60 frames a second with HDR support. They even believe that they will eventually get speeds of up to 8K resolution at 120 frames a second somewhere in the future. Google claim to be able to do this because they have many data centers across the whole world, and of course average broadband speeds has somewhat increased in the last couple of years, something previous attempts of cloud gaming didn't have.
I think the thought of playing an Assassin's Creed game or a Doom game on the go wherever I go with like a crappy laptop is something that really excites me. But I still, and not just myself, many others still have some questions about how the service exactly is going to run.
Well, the elephant in the room is you need an internet connection to play. Google have said that the minimum needed to play a game at 720p 60 frames a second is just 10 megabits a second. And with the global average speed of broadband currently around 60 megabits a second and the mobile speed at just over 25, if what they say is true, then this could truly be a turning point in cloud gaming. Again, this is what Google have said and claimed, and only journalists who had a chance to try out the service were huddled into rooms by Google, with hardware given by Google, and the broadband provided by Google themselves. Overall, it's a case of if it works, it works. We just have to see if Google can actually deliver on what they promise come November this year.
With Stadia, we can all dream bigger and together build a playground for every imagination. Thank you.
So while cloud gaming is promising for some people, not so promising for other people because they still have questions about it, I still think it's a good thing because it offers gamers just more options in terms of how they play their games. There could be people who don't have access to a console all the time or a PC and have to be on the move all the time, and this would help them access their games and play their games on the move. So that's not really why I made this video. There's something underneath cloud gaming, kind of bundled underneath it, that is something I was quite worried about because of recent events in terms of how media is consumed. And within this year, or at least E3 this year, it kind of confirmed to me that we're going down this route. And I think everyone should be very, very worried.
It is our name for a group of patented technologies that optimize game engines for performance in a cloud environment.
I'm here to announce Ubisoft's new subscription service on PC called Uplay Plus.
The greatest disruption to the consumption of entertainment media in the last 5 years is the combination of streaming plus subscription. And we believe that disruption is going to have a profound impact on our industry in the next few years. Origin Access Premier will bring you all of our new PC games.
The ultimate expression of that passion is Xbox Game Pass.
When we talk about Xbox in the cloud, when we talk about streaming your games, Project Scarlet and all of its power and all of its performance is the foundation of our future in console and the formation of our future in cloud.
Recently, in July of this year, CEO of EA Andrew Wilson said this: "With games becoming an increasingly important part of our lives, subscriptions offer compelling new value propositions for players. Other industries have demonstrated how subscriptions fundamentally shift consumer behavior. We consume more television content in different ways because of video subscriptions. We consume more music in different ways because of music subscription services. We believe the same is happening with games, where subscriptions can offer access to great content at great value with tremendously low friction. When combined with cloud streaming, the barriers are lowered even further, making it even more compelling to jump into new games and connect with new communities. The subscription opportunity is powerful for both players and game creators, and we're continuing to invest in leading services on both console and PC."
AKA, welcome to Netflix for games.
So a lot of us saw this coming. They teased this back in E3 of 2018, and pretty much everyone brought it to life in E3 2019. Subscriptions, not cloud gaming, is what we should be worried about. So why is this a problem? If I could give you two outside of the games industry's examples about what's been happening there, and trust me, they are really telling, I may be able to shed some light on how this is going to affect everyone. If you've been living under a rock, you may not have noticed the story of how Disney removed their content from Netflix. This sparked rumours that Disney were going to be launching their own streaming service, and sure enough, in November of this year, Disney Plus will launch. What I'm getting at here is that companies that are big enough are seeing the benefits of them launching their own subscription services, aka they can make a lot of money from it. We are the Netflix generation after all. We want things now and we want them fast. When you compare that with gaming, our future is turning into that. Jumping into a game via cloud gaming where it's instant, no loading, no downloads, which is great and all, but it's under a subscription service. What happens when EA, Ubisoft, Bethesda, Google, Xbox, PlayStation all launch a streaming subscription service like Disney Plus, and you can only play their games on that particular service? Well then, the simple answer is cloud gaming gets really expensive if you want to play all those games on the go.
Having said all this, you're probably saying, Dan, I could just go out and buy the game myself. I can go out to game store, they exist. I could go to a supermarket, they sell games. Amazon, I can always buy these games separately. I haven't talked about my second example yet.
So this one is very left field, but I believe it's worth bringing up, so bear with me with this one. So I create these videos and I use products from a company called Adobe. Now Adobe is a massive company, and Adobe products are used by so many people around the world. Whether it's photo editing in Photoshop, video editing in Premiere, or even creating music and sound in Adobe Audition. In 2011, Adobe announced something called Creative Cloud, and as the name suggests, it used cloud technology so you could work on a project at home and finish it on your laptop somewhere later if you leave the house, for example. This allowed more creative freedom, so to speak, when you wanted to finish on your projects. Now previously, you could outright buy versions of Adobe products for a flat fee. No monthly costs, you receive updates when they were released, etc, etc. But in 2013, Creative Cloud was Adobe's only feature, and they stated that they would not be releasing future versions on their products in any other pricing format. The only way to get their products was by getting the subscription service called Creative Cloud. Also bear in mind, Creative Cloud is really expensive, and the pricing has increased nearly every single year since its release. Consumers have called it unfair pricing, and the only other way to get their products is through piracy, something the company was battling when it launched Creative Cloud.
I'm not saying that video games are 100% going to go down this route. In fact, the reason I made this series, the Future of Video Game series, on a different level, was to more or less have a discussion of where we could be possibly heading just from what we can tell now. And from what we can tell now, all the little bits and pieces of what's been happening, especially within the last year, suggests to me that subscription models are the future. At the very least, not everyone is going to do this, and I don't see a future right now where they would restrict people from getting games unless you're on a subscription service. This really only applies to AAA studios. People have enough money to have their own streaming platforms or services, cloud-based services, to actually give to people and start a monthly subscription for them. But that's still a lot of companies doing it. In fact, it's the majority of the main AAA guys who are doing these subscription models and cloud-based services. And I feel like it's a little bit scary sometimes. Essentially, what I feel like is that ownership of your video game is going to get less and less and less. I know we have downloads, and downloads, yes, they're not really, you don't have full ownership over them because they're held on a server somewhere. But now we're going to have things like cloud-based gaming, where not only do you not own the game on your machine, but now the game is being played that you paid for on a data center 100 miles away. There's so many things that worry me about this. In fact, I think this whole cloud gaming, this subscription model, cloud gaming thing is the most worrying thing about the future of video games for me. Crossplay, I have no idea how that's going to work if everyone's on a different kind of subscription model. Mods are going to be non-existent. Why? Because mods do not work when the game is being played on a server that's held by Google. There's a lot of things that can change because of this coming in. And it is literally just a case of wait and see. But it does affect so many different areas that I could have made this video about 30 minutes long, but I wanted to make it concise and short so I could just highlight some of the key areas of worry about where we may be headed with cloud-based services and subscription services in video games.